Tonight, breaking news. Former President Joe Biden is diagnosed with cancer. Plus, the deadly crash of a Mexican naval ship slams into the Brooklyn Bridge, and the new severe weather threat with more than 50 million people at risk. We begin with the news just coming in about the former president diagnosed with prostate cancer with metastasis to the bone. His office is calling it a more aggressive form of the disease. What we're learning about possible treatments. Also tonight, the terrifying moment a tall ship slammed into the Brooklyn Bridge, killing 2 crew members. Others were left hanging from the mast. The ship, part of Mexico's Navy, was on a goodwill tour of multiple countries. New reporting on what may have caused it. The FBI says the man believed to be the suspect in the Palm Springs bombing was a 25-year-old who targeted a fertility clinic in what they're calling an intentional act of terrorism. What his writings reveal about a motive. The building was largely destroyed, but the embryos were saved. The death toll is rising from those violent storms that ripped through the South and Midwest. We speak with a family that was inside their home when their house was thrown across the street. Plus, the new severe threat, many of those same areas could be hit again. New details in that shocking jailbreak in New Orleans. Police are now checking cameras, hoping to use facial recognition to find them. High-stakes phone calls. President Trump is planning to speak with Vladimir Putin and Vladimir Zelenskyy and seeking a peace deal for Ukraine. New trouble at America's airports. 2 Alaska Airlines planes clip wings on the tarmac ahead of a potential record-breaking travel rush. And Pope Leo appears to get emotional as he celebrates his inaugural Mass before 200,000 of the faithful.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this busy Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. Just before we came on the air, former President Joe Biden's office announced that he has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. The former president and his family are now reviewing treatment options with doctors. Biden, the 46th president of the U.S., is 82 and left office nearly 4 months ago. At the time, he was the nation's oldest serving president. His office says he recently began experiencing symptoms and was diagnosed with cancer 2 days ago. Former Vice President Harris responded by calling him a fighter. Dr. Darien Sutton is standing by with analysis. But first, ABC senior White House correspondent Selina Wang leads us off.
Tonight, former President Biden revealing he's been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. Biden's spokesperson says the cancer has spread to the bone and that while this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. The president and his family are reviewing treatment options. The spokesperson says the 82-year-old was experiencing increasing urinary symptoms days after they announced doctors found a small nodule on the 82-year-old's prostate. His prostate cancer is characterized with a Gleason score of 9, which medical experts say indicates the cancer cells are likely to grow and spread rapidly. But the hormone sensitivity of the cancer offers a viable treatment pathway. Biden ended his more than 5 decades in public service in January, leaving office as the oldest president in history after abruptly dropping out of the presidential race last summer. He's mostly stayed out of public view, except for attending Pope Francis's funeral in April and now pushing back against a slate of new books questioning his mental acuity at the end of his presidency.
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that.
Former First Lady Jill Biden forcefully defending her husband.
I mean, he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, and then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone reading his briefings, working with staff. I mean, it was nonstop.
And a source tells us Biden is currently in Wilmington, Delaware, as reactions are pouring in from leaders, including from President Trump, who's posting on social media tonight that Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. Lindsay?
So many share a similar sentiment. Selina, thank you. Let's bring in ABC News medical correspondent Dr. Darien Sutton. And we should note you have never treated the former president. But based on just his age, how common would you say is a prostate cancer diagnosis at this stage of life?
It's very common. Approximately 3 million men are living with this diagnosis this year. An additional approximate 300,000 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. Now, the risk of the diagnosis of prostate cancer increases with age. Approximately 60% of those who receive this diagnosis diagnosis are over the age of 65. So this fits in line with that. But just another reminder of why it's so important to continue with screening, because most often an early diagnosis has the best outcomes. However, with metastasis and other factors as well as age and the medical history of the patient, that helps us to better understand the specifics of that risk.
Of course, always important to stay updated with those tests. Give us a sense, because we do know that the president's office released a few details, including they had metastasis to the bone, also a Gleason score of 9. Explain what that means.
Yeah, so, well, we'll presume that there was a biopsy done between when we found, or when he found that he had a nodule, between that and his diagnosis. And during that biopsy, a pathologist, a physician who looks at the cells that are removed from the body to better understand how abnormal they are, creates a score. And the higher the score, the more abnormal the cells are in the realm of prostate cancer. Now, a score from 8 to 10 is a more aggressive, more likely to spread, and the president has received a Gleason score of 9. But beyond that, Lindsay, additional testing is done, not only to understand how spread of that cancer is, which is how we understand that it has metastasized or spread to the bone, but also hormone testing. Testosterone and other like hormones can stimulate the growth of cancer cells. We found that the president, it's been reported that he has hormone-sensitive cancer, which means that there is an opportunity for an additional form of treatment which can improve his outcome.
So appreciate you walking us through this diagnosis, Dr. Sutton. Thank you. And now to the investigation into the crash of the Brooklyn Bridge. A Mexican Navy tall ship slammed into the iconic structure, killing at least 2 people. More than a dozen others were injured. Several members of the crew who had been on the mast before they hit the bridge were suspended helplessly in midair. ABC's Rhiannon Ally has more.
Tonight, the terrifying moments when this Mexican Navy tall ship carrying nearly 300 people slammed into the Brooklyn Bridge, killing 2 crew members and injuring more than a dozen.
We're about to watch it crash into the Brooklyn Bridge.
Dramatic videos from land capturing the moment it happened at about 8:20 Saturday night.
The captain that was maneuvering the ship lost, power of the ship.
You can see it traveling backwards when the masts hit the bridge, one after another. Onlookers watching in disbelief.
We thought it was maybe going to go under the Brooklyn Bridge at the highest point, so it would avoid striking the mast, but then we noticed it was going backwards.
And it kept coming and coming and coming. And I just remember thinking, wow, this is so odd, it's getting too close. And then it crashed.
First responders rushing to the scene to aid the injured. Luckily, officials say no one fell into the water. Officials say there was no major damage to the bridge.
This is a tough bridge. It was overbuilt from the very beginning, and it's withstood an awful lot.
We are just feet away from the ship, and at the top, you can see those snapped masts that hit the underside of the Brooklyn Bridge. Up there right now, you can also see people in harnesses.
NTSB investigators among those now on the scene.
What the NTSB is going to do is treat this exactly like they would an air accident. They're going to take a look at everything.
This crash brings back memories of March 2024, when a cargo ship slammed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore after it lost power, causing a catastrophic collapse. 6 construction workers were killed.
This ship arrived in New York just last week for a goodwill tour, and officials say it was headed to Iceland when it crashed, and now investigators are trying to figure out exactly how this could have happened. Lindsay?
Rhiannon, thank you. Tonight, the FBI is identifying the suspect they say is behind the explosion at a fertility clinic in Palm Springs, California. They believe 25-year-old Guy Edward Bartkus was killed in the blast. And tonight, what authorities are saying about a possible motive. ABC's Jaclyn Lee reports from Palm Springs.
Tonight, the FBI revealing who they suspect was behind the car explosion, seen here rocking a Palm Springs fertility clinic.
We are fairly confident that that subject is Guy Edward Bartkus, 25-year-old, and this was a targeted attack against the IVF facility.
The blast collapsing buildings, blowing out windows, killing the suspect and injuring 4 others. Authorities saying it was an act of terrorism and calling Bartkus nihilistic.
We were able to save all of the embryos at this facility. Good guys 1, bad guys 0.
In writings reviewed by ABC News, Bartkus believed the world should not be populated. The U.S. Attorney in Los Angeles describing the writings as a, quote, anti-pro-life manifesto.
Is that part of the investigation and a possible planned attack?
We are looking through that. We are tracking a possible manifesto out there, and it's part of our ongoing investigation.
Nima Tabrizi was nearby and saw the blast.
Our initial reaction was, wait a minute, this isn't normal. Definitely sounded like a sonic boom. Even my girlfriend didn't believe me at first, and I was like, that's a human body part.
The car explosion crumbling parts of this fertility clinic.
This debris field spans more than 250 yards in all directions. And the contents of the building is spread over all 5 lanes of traffic.
The American Reproductive Center writing in a statement, "We are immensely grateful to share that no members of the ARC team were harmed. Authorities finding the suspect's body near the charred car on scene."
Lindsay, authorities confirmed the suspect tried to live stream the explosion. Officials executed a search warrant at his home in the city of 29 Palms. And of course, the investigation is ongoing. Lindsay.
Jaclyn, thank you. Now to the devastation in parts of the Midwest and South with more severe weather on the way. Entire city blocks in St. Louis now reduced to rubble. At least 5 people are confirmed dead in the city. And the death toll across the worst hit states has risen to at least 28. ABC's Alex Dillon reports tonight from London, Kentucky.
Tonight, the frightening image. This deadly twister tearing through southeast Kentucky. You can hear the roar of the wind and see the flashes of light in Laurel County on Friday night. Part of a multi-state severe weather outbreak claiming over 24 lives. Tornadoes reported in at least 6 states, this one in southeast Missouri. Back in Laurel County, Kentucky tonight, cleanup is underway as those injured by the tornado are returning to see what's left.
About where the Tahoe sat now was a kitchen.
David Farler, his wife, daughter, and 4 grandchildren hid in closets in the home he built by hand, which looked like this before the tornado hit. Incredibly, his home lifted off the ground with the family inside and was carried across the street.
I was thinking, when is this going to stop? It felt like it went on forever. My wife said she was floating around.
Buried under debris, including granite countertops, the entire family made it out alive with only minor injuries, able to dig themselves out. David took me back to see what remains of the home.
You thought it was the end?
I thought it was the end. I've never come that close to death before in my life.
At least 19 people killed in this state, 17 in the county alone.
Each a child of God, missed by their family that have people mourning them right now.
And tonight, we're learning some of their names. Major Leslie Roger Leatherman of the Laurel County Fire Department was fatally injured while responding to the tornado. The department writing, his courage, commitment, and sacrifice will never be forgotten. In Missouri, the city of St. Louis also hit hard. An estimated 5,000 buildings impacted there, 5 people losing their lives in the city, more than 3 dozen injured. And Lindsay, this is where that family home once stood that blew down the street, the SUV where their kitchen was, and this area is bracing for more severe weather later this week. Lindsay.
Our hearts certainly go out to those families. Alex, thank you. And now, as you mentioned, a new severe weather threat is targeting millions again this week. These images from this afternoon show a tornado moving near the Denver airport. Tornado watches are in effect from Texas to Nebraska. Let's bring in WABC meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our New York station. Danny, what's the greatest risk tonight?
Large tornadoes, Lindsay, and this new multi-day severe weather threat is first focused over the plains tonight. Taking a look at the map, Texas up to Nebraska, bracing for severe storms with the greatest concern for strong tornadoes, as I just said. In the area shaded in red, including Wichita, that's under a level 4 out of 5 risk. Tomorrow, many of these same cities stay in the threat zone, but it also spreads east into much of Missouri, including St. Louis, still dealing with Friday's damage. A wide area at risk for very large hail and strong tornadoes. Tuesday, the threat shifts east again, with numerous severe storms expected from northern Louisiana into nearly all of Kentucky, where they're bracing for the second round in just a matter of days. Lindsay?
No rest for the weary. Danny, thank you. We're learning more tonight about the brazen jailbreak by 10 inmates in New Orleans. An urgent manhunt is underway for the 7 men still on the loose. ABC's Faith Abube reports from New Orleans. Faith, tell us what you're learning.
Lindsay, investigators are facing mounting pressure to recapture the 7 remaining fugitives who escaped from this jail about 2 miles from the French Quarter here in New Orleans, the heart of New Orleans tourism. Some of those on the run are murder suspects, and tonight officials are doing their best to reassure the public that they're throwing all resources at this investigation, including facial recognition cameras. Now, the nonprofit that is behind those cameras tell us that some of their cameras did help capture one of the escaped inmates, but another one did get away during the hours-long delay in alerting the public. Lindsay.
Certainly a lot of urgency to capture them. Faith, thank you. Now to efforts at peace in Ukraine. President Trump is set to talk to Russian President Putin tomorrow and Ukraine's President Zelenskyy. The calls will come after Russia launched its largest drone attack yet overnight. At least one person was killed. ABC's Lama Hassan joins us. Now, Lama, we are just learning that President Zelenskyy met today with the vice president. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's right, Lindsay. For the first time since that blistering blow-up in the Oval Office, President Zelenskyy meeting with Vice President J.D. Vance on the sidelines of Pope Leo's inauguration. They were seen shaking hands. Zelenskyy also meeting the Pope, thanking him for the Vatican's offer to hold talks between Kyiv and Moscow. President Trump saying he will call President Putin at 10 a.m. tomorrow. This is a crucial call. The stakes are high. He believes a ceasefire will take place. Trump will then speak with President Zelenskyy and NATO leaders. This comes after a diplomatic push for peace in Istanbul, holding direct talks for the first time in 3 years. Both sides agreeing to exchange 1,000 prisoners of war. The two sides still far apart on key issues, but what they did agree on is to continue talking. Lindsay.
Perhaps a sign of progress. Lama, thank you. There's so much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday, including a dangerous incident at the Seattle airport and the dramatic come-from-behind win in one of horse racing's biggest events. Next tonight, new concerns about safety in the skies, including an incident between two Alaska airline planes in Seattle. Here's ABC's Christiane Cordero.
As millions of people prepare to hit the sky for the record-breaking Memorial Day travel rush, tonight the FAA is investigating how two Alaska Airlines jets clipped wings at a Seattle airport. No injuries reported. Passengers on the two packed California-bound flights forced to deplane and board other aircraft. It comes as ABC News has learned of another close call earlier this month, this time at New York's LaGuardia Airport, one of the nation's busiest. An American Eagle jet cleared for takeoff and bound for Buffalo, New York, full of passengers racing down the runway when air traffic controllers tell the pilot to abort.
Circuit 4736, stop.
The jet stopping just over 1,000 feet from a United flight taxiing on the same runway. Air traffic control apologizing for the confusion.
Sorry about that. I thought United had cleared well before that.
The incident adding to a series of air traffic control related incidents, including tech outages at a facility in Denver and one in Philadelphia that manages airspace for Newark's Liberty Airport. Controllers and pilots unable to communicate with each other for nearly 90 seconds. And Lindsay, today another incident, this time at Houston's Hobby Airport. Its air traffic control tower ran on a backup generator for about an hour this afternoon during a power outage. Flights were delayed. The FAA is investigating. Lindsay?
More concern in the skies there, Christiane. Thank you. When we come back, the emotional ceremony at the Vatican as a Chicago native celebrates his inaugural Mass as Pope. To the index now, and what a finish at the Preakness. The favorite Journalism came from behind, chasing down Gosger at the wire for the win. Journalism takes the second leg of the Triple Crown after being edged out by Sovereignty at the Kentucky Derby. When we come back, a special moment for the new Pope and a break with protocol. Finally tonight, a Chicago native made history at the Vatican, and ABC's Maggie Rulli was there to witness it.
Tonight, the world celebrates the American Pope. More than 200,000 crowding around St. Peter's Square to mark the official start of Pope Leo XIV's papacy. On a day of both elation and deep emotion. The Mass, rich in tradition. Pope Leo praying before the tomb of St. Peter. Before receiving the symbols of the papacy, the pallium, a woolen vestment worn over his shoulders, and the fisherman's ring, a signet ring bearing the image of St. Peter. A moment that resonated with emotion for the new Pope.
It must be an awesome thing to look at that ring and see your connection to St. Peter.
At one point, the Pope mobile stopping for Pope Leo to hold and bless babies in the crowd. Jerry Spearman knew Pope Leo from his time at Villanova.
A man who was and is very personal to me and so many of my former Augustinian confreres, is now a gift to the world, not only the church, but to the world.
And Lindsay, after his history-making Mass, this moment, Pope Leo breaking protocol to hug his brother, Louis from Florida. And Lindsay, we have seen how Pope Leo's connecting with just every American we meet here on the ground. And now
He'll be the Holy Father to 1.4 billion Catholics around the world. Lindsay.
What a touching moment. Maggie, thank you. And thank you so much for watching. David Muir right back here tomorrow. I'm Lindsay Davis. Have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.